നമസ്കാരം, വെൽക്കം ബാക്ക് ടു കോഡ് പിക്സൽ UI. ദിസ് ഈസ് എപ്പിസോഡ് 6. ഇന്ന് നമ്മുടെ ഫോക്കസാണ് ആംഗുലറിൽ കോമ്പൗണ്ട് ഇൻട്രാക്ഷൻ ആൻഡ് ഇവൻറ്റ് കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷൻ. നല്ല UI ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ എങ്ങനെ ഇൻപുട്ട്, ഔട്ട്പുട്ട്, ഇവൻറ്റ് ബൈൻഡിങ്, സ്ട്രക്ചറൽ ഡയറക്റ്റീവ്സ്, ടൈപ്സ്, ഇൻ്റർഫേസസ് ആൻഡ് ആക്സസ് മോഡിഫയേഴ്സ് ഉപയോഗിക്കാം എന്നാണ് നമ്മുടെ പഠനം. So let's see how to use these things in your Angular applications. So this is the Angular application which we created last time. This is app.html where we have hello welcome, and app.es, it's an empty class. Here we have app root which is used inside index.html, and we also explained how main.ts will be bootstrapping app.es. Here we have bootstrap application and we need to specify specific class where we need to bootstrap. So we specified app. If you go inside app, there will be app root, and this is HTML file and this is CS file. HTML file we have hello welcome. So the index.html will be replaced with these contents. If you go to browser, you can see hello welcome, which is running under port 4200. Let's say we want to build a UI where we list students on the left side and show selected students details on the right side. This interaction will help us to learn how Angular components talk each other. Let's create two components inside app. First one is generate component student list. The student list will be displayed on the left side, and we are again creating one more component and gc student details. Here two components will be created. You can see the folder here and details also here. You can add all the components, all the files here itself. No need to create folder, but the problem is once you have a lot of files, it is not easy to handle. That is the reason whenever you create any components, you create a folder and put inside that. Let's go back to HTML, and we have app student list here. So let's see whether it's working or not. So we placed, then we need to bootstrap it. We use the same function. And here we will mention it will be imported from this one. Now we used bootstrap application to bootstrap our component and placed inside index.html. Let's see how the application working. You can see student list works. This is how we create new component. Let's inspect the element. This is how you are going to debug your application. If you click here, you can see that specific styles applied on it. So let's see this component now. Also you can see ng version, Angular version which you are using. You can see two root components here. This is one root and this is another root. But in Angular we should be having only one root. That is the main idea. So rest all the contents will go inside that root. So adding two roots or two siblings here will not be a good idea. We should be having only one root element. Inside that all the contents will sit. So here we have two root elements. So we need to remove one root element and we need to put inside app root. Let's see how that is working. So let's go back to our application and just removing this bootstrapping method and the import as well. Saving it, then going back to this one and taking this one. Now we have only one root element, and inside app HTML we have contents. So let's place. Now you can see an error which says app student list is not a non-element. This is Angular element and we need to use this one from certain folder. It's an Angular tag, so we need to explicitly say the Angular that this we need to use from particular TS file. So while compiling, this will not be added to Angular until unless you specify explicitly. So let's see how we need to specify. So go back to amp.ts file. Whenever you use any specific module, you need to import here student list. You can see student list is imported and be added. The error is gone. You are explicitly saying Angular that you need to use app student list from one of the imports. Let's go back to, you can see student list works. So if you inspect again, you can see app root, under that you will be use the student list. And let's add one more component which we created, which is student details. This also says app student details is not a known element. We need to explicitly say that we need to use imports student details from student details component. Now if you see, you will not get error anymore and you will be getting student details works. So as we said, we are creating a new application where we display student list on the left side and student details on the right side on click of particular student. Create a new header, then tag, we have one div, saving. Let's go back to browser. You can see dashboard and also it's in blue color. A few more styles which is common CSS style. So why I specified styles as CSS? Because this is common styles which will be added to index.html, and if you specify any styles inside styles CSS, it will be applied to the whole HTML, complete HTML. But whenever you specify any CSS here, it will be only applied to app HTML. So this add few more div. Let's go back to HTML. Class right to browser. Now you can see here is 50%, this also 50%. Margin also will add some 8 pixels. Our main component is almost ready. Let's go back to application. Now let's go back to student list. So student list, what we are going to do is we need to display student names. We added few contents in our student list HTML. Now we can see student 1. So it's reflecting, and we'll go back to HTML. Let's add few styles to it. I'm saving it. Let's go back to student list as well, and you can see student list is added. Also we can give, now you can see student 1 with student list. Let's create few students list initially. For that, let's create one TS file, dummies student.ts file. Let's create one constant with multiple objects. We added few students list. Let's save it. And also when you create any students, we don't know what is the type of it, so let's create few type as well for student. Let's create interface for student. Export interface. And let's go back to student list, and let's create one student without specifying access modifiers. By default it will be public, so I'm just assigning students of 0, the first object to student. Then we can read. How we can read these? We can use double curly braces. There is nothing but string interpolation in Angular, course concept in Angular. So let's use double curly braces dot name, and let's save it. Student list also, let's save it, and let's go back to browser. You can see Anil. So this is the first object name. If you go back to dummy student, Anil is the first object we have, and we added that specific student to public student. And if you want to make it private, you can give like this. Private means if you are using private access modifiers, it will be private for this class. Only this class can be used, this student object, and nowhere else. You will get an error here saying that property student is private, only accessible within the class. So let's go back to and make it public. You can make it public, or without public keyword we can use. So both are public by nature. So you will not get any error. Suppose if you are getting student as undefined, so I am using 6 here, so we will be getting an error in the HTML. Let's go back to browser, and if you are opening, in console you will be getting an error saying that cannot read properties of undefined, because we have object till 5. We don't have 6th object, but we are trying to access 6th object. We will be getting an error. So how to avoid this? We can use a question mark here. So whenever student is available, it will read name from it. If it is undefined, it will not read. It's add the type of student is, it may be student or undefined. So we can use this question mark. So if student is available, it will read name from it, else it will not throw any error. So let's save it. Here we will not be getting any error. If you need second object, how to access the second object? Here you can create another object like student 1 or student 2. Then you can add that particular object here. Adding like this is not a good solution. So instead what we do is, we'll save it now. We'll go back to student and we'll remove this as well. Suppose if you are passing something from parent to this one, then it will be automatically displaying inside student, right? So every time we can use the same component to pass the values. We have 5 values inside our student, dummy student. So we can pass 5 values to this particular component, then we can use it inside. So we have a mechanism called input decorator. So let's try to use that one here. From Angular code, add input, then you need to specify name of type student. We are getting one error saying that property student has no initializer and is not definitely assigned in the constructor. We cannot initialize this object. You can initialize name something ABC, ID 6 and grade is A. So this is something that we are initializing this particular object. Actually we are passing this object from the parent. So we cannot initialize here anything. This will be initialized by the user itself. So we need to use this symbol. The symbol saying that this will be initialized later. If you are not passing any attributes or anything, you can use this as well. This is also valid. So you can use like this. And now we need to pass one input attribute, that is nothing but student. And .ts we can add student students of 0, just adding it. What we are going to do is we created a public object students of 0 with the name student, and we are passing this value in the student list. Student So this is saying that we are passing a student attribute as an input and the object is student. And save it and go to browser, you will see Anil, because here you are passing one student name which is of students of 0. You are passing to this list as an input, and which is taken as input here and which is assigned to student.name here. That is the reason we are seeing this value here. So this is parent, this is child. So student list and details are children's of this parent. So this is one way of communication from parent to child. Okay, so we are using input decorator. So we are passing one value from parent to student list, which is of child, which is of this child. So we are passing one value from parent to child. Add list here, li, and this so if I add 5 here, so let's add a few more things. Let's modify this object. So just save it, and you can see here the students list. So we are done with the left side. So we are displaying all the student list here, and on right side, on click of this particular student, we need to display some contents in student details. Right, so let's go back to student details now. What HTML has is student details works, right? So let's add here one div. So so we are clicking on student list and we need to display the details on student details page. So these are two different components. Maybe both are siblings. User click on student list, we need to capture that event and we need to send the student to this student details, because these two are siblings and there is no relation in between them, and only the relation is this is two children of this parent. So what we need to do is, on click of student list, we need to emit some events to parent. Again we need to pass that input to student detail so that we can capture complete events. So let's see how to do it. So same, we use input decorator, right? Same way here also we will use input decorator, which is of type student. That input parameter we can use inside student. What JSON pipe will do is, it will convert this value to JSON value. So this is nothing but student here as well, and here we need to pass some value. Student selected student. We need to capture this click event inside app student list. We will do that one first. So here student list HTML. So we need to capture this click event, right? So how to capture is, we need to use brackets. So we'll be having many things here. So these are events, will be displayed as an IntelliSense. So these are the events, will be displayed in curly braces. So I'm using click event. So you can see this one class here. Now touch the class. So click event, here we need to mention one function. On student click, this is one function. So the bracket, so this is not created, so I'll use this one, declare method. So now we created click event with this function. So let's see whether it's working or not. So by default this is public. You can add public accessor, access modifier. You can use a public access modifier. You can save and go back to browser and go to console. Here on click, I can see this is clicked. You can see it's here studio. And from here, so what we need to do is, this student we need to pass to parent, right? That's what we are going to do. Use one more decorator called output decorator, imported from Angular core, and this also selected student, which is an event emitter, new event emitter. This is a function from Angular core. So this selected student is an output event. This selected student is an output event with event emitter, and from here we need to pass this one, this dot, control V, this dot select student dot emit. There is a function called emit which will emit this value. So this is nothing but we are exporting this dot student. You can pass this value also here. From here we can pass student as well. That is up to you how you want to do it. Student. So now you're going to you're emitting this student value to the parent. So what we need to do is go to parent HTML, select student, and we need to capture this event through one function, right? Selected student, and we need to pass this parameter. You will get this parameter using $event. Student is not declared yet, so you can declare as a public. So I'm just copying this value across all this component. Now you're going to save this and select the student is an event emitter from this app student list. We used output decorator, and we are emitting this particular student on click of that particular student, right, from the so let's go back to am.ts. We'll specify access modifier. It's better to specify access modifier, and this is student. So now it is the student details initially undefined, so I'm specifying or undefined. It may be student or type of undefined. So once we user clicked on particular object, then only we will get selected student details. So here we are saying student will be initialized later, and we are passing undefined, which is not right. So we will use question mark. The question mark means it is optional value. So this is student, we are giving student or undefined, right? In app.ts we mentioned student, so here we mention student or undefined. Okay, so now the application is running. Let's go back to browser and let's see. Now we see list on the left side and data on the right side. We don't know which one is selected, so we will highlight this one with some attribute. So let's go back to Visual Studio, and we have a style like style dot background. So let's give red now. Let's see whether it's working or not. Background color. So now it's working. The background color is red. ID is matching, then we'll be selecting it. Triple equal to student dot id, then red else. Like this. Then here select as initializer, so let's add or undefined, defined. Let's save it, and if this is undefined, then we will probably get an error. Let's add this one. So application is running, and let's see. So whenever user clicking on anything, it will be in red color. This is mostly useful when you have visited, right? So sometimes you need to highlight like visited elements, so you can use this kind of, but let's use some other way. This one. Now, like these are independent elements. So these are independent elements. There is no relation between these things. So we don't know what is selected and how, when we need to highlight with the red color, right? So these are different elements because only this much contents are there in one component. So what we'll do is, from parent we will use selected. Pass selected attribute to this. Selected dot id equals equal to details dot id, and this can be undefined too. So let's add this one. Same way we'll add all these conditions here, and only the thing is data will be different. And inside list we use another input value at input selected by default it will be false. So this is, then let's add class dot selected equal to selected. Okay, then let's go to CSS and we add the class selected. So this way, so when selected is true, this class will be added to this particular element, and if selected is false, this class will be removed. And this is an input element, and this is an input decorator where we pass selected flag from the parent. You can see students here. You can see here the condition. Let's try whether it's working or not. Now we can see with the selected, that is highlighting with red color. And also let's go back to student list once again, and let's see few more things. So here student is mandatory because we need to put the student name here, otherwise it will show an empty div without student name. So this is mandatory here. So in this dummy students, we know all the names are mentioned, so this name will be always available. So let's also create one more li here. And we are not mentioning any input. Student, we are not mentioning any input. So this is still valid, but we are not getting any student passed into this attribute. So this is still valid, we are not getting any errors. So what we can do is, this is mandatory parameter. So what we can do is go back to this one, and here you can mention attributes required true, which means this is mandatory parameter to this component. So here if you go back to app.html, if you are not passing, you will get an error here now. So here required input student from component student list must be specified, means student must be specified if you are using this component. So this is required parameter now. And sometimes also, so let's remove this element now for now, and we'll check one more thing. And now same way selector also, if you want, so now selector also you can make it required if you want, but this is selected is if it is not there. So selector we are not making required because it is by default it is assigned to false. By default it is assigned to false, so we are not making required flag there. And also if you want to use some other names, you can use alias, maybe user we can specify here instead of student. So what this means is, this is student, this is user. Now we will get an error, property student does not exist on type student list, because this is the input element and we are saying Angular that this is the input element and we need to use this an object name for this input element. So you can mention here user. If you want to use some other name as input, and here in class you need to mention one name in input and you need to use some other name in the class, then you can go for this one, because this is what is access modifiers once. So as I said, this is public data, so we can use same in HTML as well, no need to change anything. So this is still valid. Student means here, if you go here, student is public, this is used. And if you are using as private, you will get an error because this student will be used only in. So still we will get the same error because protected class can be accessed inside class or subclass, not inside HTML. We will get, while compiling, we will get the same error saying that property student is protected and only accessible within class. So ഇവിടെ നമ്മൾ Angularൽ string interpolation, attribute binding, event binding, component communication using at input and at output, access modifiers എല്ലാം നോക്കി. Next episode we will start with signals and how the signals are working, why they introduce signals, and how the change detection strategy works in Angular. So this is most important topic in Angular, so we will cover in the next episode. Today we explained core concepts of Angular, so keep practicing it so you'll get hands-on experience on these things. Thanks for watching CodePixel UI. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you in the next episode. Till then, this is Nitin signing off. Happy coding. See you in the next episode.